Hey, welcome to Golden Goddess TV. I'm Rebecca Gibson, and today we have the beautiful Tonya Gonzalez all the way from Mexico. So I'm in Australia, she's from Mexico. I'm hoping that the feed doesn't cut out. There may be a little bit of a lag, so bear with us while we have a conversation. So as you know, Golden Goddess TV is where we talk about healing, empowering the divine feminine with women that have gone through dark periods and healing their own shadow stuff to now be using their stories and their life experiences and their healing journey to help women heal and empower the divine feminine within themselves and also with the men in our lives, because divine feminine is in all of us. It's not just a woman thing. So welcome, Tonya. I'm so honored that you're doing this with me. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here in your audience and all the way there in Australia and me here in Mexico. This is definitely a love connection, sister.
I know. I love you. So,
me too.
I do. I love you. You're just gorgeous. So tell us a bit about yourself. Tell the audience about yourself. What do you do?
I am a spiritual coach and mentor, and I've shifted my energy. I've been a tarot life coach, which has been my psychic medium and spiritual teacher business. And now I'm really shifting into serving spiritual entrepreneurs and women who are really ready to take their spiritual practice from their private space out into the world with them. And so I am shifting more into Tonya Gonzalez, the spiritual healer entrepreneur. And so I have been blessed to have a beautiful journey, reading tarot cards and providing healing for people all over the world for the last decade. So
yeah, yes, you've had a very interesting career. Just want to touch slightly on when you were voted number 3 psychic in the world and how that came about.
Oh, this is a perfect story for the lightness and the darkness that we discussed previously. So I had been living in Spain and had come from a very dark energy and was really looking for myself. I had been in Spain drinking too much, smoking cigarettes. I had gained a bunch of weight, and I said, what am I doing? And by the time I got back to Chicago, I said, oh my God, it's the middle of winter. Spain had been mild in winter in December. And when I got to Chicago, I was like, oh my God, I cannot stay here. And so a friend invited me down to Key West, and I said, oh, sanctuary. I needed that. I needed the ocean, the energy of the ocean. So I said, absolutely. And I got to Key West, Florida, which is a very expensive tourist place in the United States. I had no idea. I thought, oh, I'll just go get a job waitressing at the best restaurant. I've got experience. I can do this. Well, I get there and there's no waitressing jobs. It is high season and nobody's giving up their waitressing job. Waitressing was, of course, the hottest job to have. And so the only job I could get was a busboy. And here I was with my master's degree. They interviewed me twice to be a busboy. They're like, are you sure you can do this? And I said, I've been a manager before. I've done every kind of work before. I said, I can do this. And so they're like, okay. And, I said, I'm going to do it and show you who I am. So I was the busboy. And so many people were like, what is she doing? She should be a server. And so they never hired me because I don't know. And so I went to another restaurant and I became the best waitress there. And so I was a busboy, a waitress, and then they asked me to be the hostess because they love my personality and so many people asked for me. So I was a busboy, a hostess, and a waitress. And I still had clients on the side. And every morning before I went to work on my beautiful purple bike, and I would look at the ocean and I would pray, I know there's something bigger for me. I know there's something bigger for me. And I just would know, I just affirmed it. I said, I know that this is preparing me for something bigger. And then I got an email from Ukraine and they invited me to be on this TV show. And I thought it was definitely a fluke. I was like, this is junk mail spam. Like, where did they find me from?
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. And So they said, no, we would really like you to come to Ukraine and participate in our TV show. And I thought, this has got to be a joke. But at the same time, I was like, waitress TV, waitress TV. And so many people kept telling me, wait, are you going to get kidnapped? You might die. You know, something might happen to you. They're going to sell you on the black market. That movie Taken had just come out.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh my God, they're going to kidnap you, girl, and take you. And I was like, you know what? Well, I am willing to take the risk. Something is telling me to go. So I get on the plane, and how I feel comfortable the moment I get there is when I get off the plane after taking 4 airplanes from Key West, which is the southernmost point of the United States, to Eastern Europe. It was like a 2-day adventure. There was film crews and people there. They're like, oh, we'll have a sign. So I'm looking for someone with a sign like this when I get off the airport, and there's an entire TV crew. And I was like, oh my God,
wow,
what have I gotten myself into? And so the first auditions, it was over 5,000 people from all over the world trying out. It was in this huge stadium, and I'm like, how did I get here? How did I get here? And they treated us, the people who were from the United States. There was just me from the United States, another person from Canada, someone from Australia, someone from Scotland, 2 people from England. So all of us English speakers, they had us in a special place, and they treated us very different. And so it was just this process of elimination over a course of 8 months.
8 months?
8 months that I lived in Kiev.
Wow.
And that also was a life-changing experience for me. And I was voted on TV number 3. And it totally changed my life, that I could serve so many people, because I never knew that I knew I wanted to serve a lot, but I had no idea the amount that Spirit would put before me to then serve.
So do you think while you were doing that 8-month process in the public eye, that would be very confronting as it is, in a completely different country, non-English speaking country, so how many fears you would have had to push through to make sure that you kept following the light and doing that and answering the calling?
It was one of the most difficult daily tasks that I had to do, because I would see people losing their minds, literally losing their minds for that idea of fame. And I said, oh, please, I do not. I just prayed, please keep my ego out of this. Let me serve. I didn't use my tarot cards. I didn't use anything, because I wanted to just be focused on service, not on using the cards. One guy had a snake, another guy had a rattle. I mean, everybody had props. And so I said, no, I'm just going to do this all on my own. I really want to show up and shine. And that is what I did.
Well, it's all about service. It is serving the light, isn't it? And serving love. And the spiritual arena can be full of so much spiritual ego. I couldn't even imagine how heavy that ego energy would have been with so many people wanting TV fame. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you always stayed in the love and the service of love, even with all of that shadow stuff swirling around you, it would have been so easy to get yourself wrapped up in the ego part of it, and the comparison that goes on sometimes in the spiritual. I mean, I know, especially if I do a festival where there's a bunch of readers all in the one place, the ego that happens in those rooms is unbelievable. It's so funny. Other than keeping yourself, okay, I'm just going to serve, how did you get through that, being by yourself, being a woman of color in an Eastern European country of non-English speaking people who I don't imagine female equality would have been a big thing during that process? How did you get through that and come out the other side even better?
I stayed true to myself. I did not let them change me. And I saw it, and my faith grew so much. Ukraine was the time that I was given a message from Archangel Michael. I had started having these dreams about this golden winged angel, and it woke me up one night, and it was one of the last times that I've ever really slept walk as an adult. And
Yeah.
I happened to be at a friend's house in Ukraine, and he's like, what's going on? I said, a golden winged angel came to me. And I said, I don't know who it is. I don't know. And he said, oh my God, that's Archangel Michael. And when we went to the center of Kiev, there is a huge statue in the center of Kiev of Archangel Michael. And that is exactly, and so I knew then that I was being guided. I knew that something was pushing me, that I was meant to be there. How did I go from Key West, a single mother, I was 40 years old, waitressing, to TV in the blink of an eye? I knew I was being divinely guided. And when I knew that that was the truth and that I stayed in that, I said, just keep me focused on the truth. I would put my earbuds in and just tune out the rest. And they would tell me, don't you want to be a star? Don't you want to be a star? Don't you? And I said, I already am a star. I already am a star. You are not going to bribe me, emotionally bribe me with anything. So yeah, I stayed true to myself.
So when you came back to the States, you're obviously working then as a tarot coach, a tarot life coach, doing your readings. Now you've moved to Mexico. What was the catalyst to move you out of the States and down south into warmer Mexico, for one? I mean, I know the beaches probably was what got you there. But why else move?
Another great adventure and another story of light and dark. I had just come from living in Marbella, Spain this time. Another part of Spain. The last time I was in Madrid, Spain, and this time I was in Marbella.
Mm-hmm.
And in Marbella is like the French Riviera of Europe. It is a very glitzy area, and I had never lived in such an affluent area. For the United States, it would be like Beverly Hills.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I was never a woman into labels and expensive purses, and it's just not me. I believe in, it's just not. So I was very uncomfortable with that. I had no idea that that was what I was up against. And I didn't realize that it was also very hedonistic. And so I said, okay, you brought me here for a reason. And it said, you have to allow all of her out. You have to get it out. So I did it. I did the clubs. I stayed out till 5 a.m. I danced. I got dressed up. I let myself be the full party girl I wanted to be. And then I remember, I'm there right now. I was sitting in the club. I was dressed up. My feet were hurting. I was sitting in the hookah lounge, and it was like 4 a.m. And I looked out at the sea of people dancing, and I said, what the hell am I doing here? I am a spiritual teacher. What am I trying to prove? What am I doing here? And I just got up and I walked out, and I said, you know what, this is done. And so luckily my birthday was right around the corner. So I had bought a new dress, I had new shoes, new everything. And I went out one last time and I said, she is gone. She is gone. I don't want to drink anymore. I want to take care of myself. This is not who I want to be. And so I decided when I went back to the United States that I was no longer going to drink. And so I said, I need to get myself together and figure out my next move. So I was in the United States, and I said, okay, I don't want to be here. I was at my mother's house, which is a deeper layer of darkness and a lot of unhealed things, but all of it got healed because I put myself there so I could heal it one last time. And I said, I want to go there. And I also at that same time said, I stopped drinking. But let me go back to that outfit. I remember that night of my birthday, I ended up throwing away that entire outfit, shoes, everything. I just took that dress off after my birthday and left it. And I said, that part of me is no longer, she's gone. She's gone.
So symbolic.
Absolutely. And so I did not know what I was going to do, but I said, I know I'm not meant to be in Chicago. I know I'm not meant to be in my mother's house. And so I said, guide me where I'm meant to be. And so a spiritual teacher invited me down to Mexico and said, I'd love to see if you would like to serve here. If it doesn't work out, you know, you're on your way, do what you want to do. So I said, why not? Why not? And something told me that this was exactly where I was meant to be. And so when I got here, it wasn't what I expected there. It was kind of a very cultish type of thing that kind of like really, you know, I woke up and said, oh my goodness, I really could have put myself in a very difficult situation. But because, again, very spiritually aware within myself, and my senses were so open because I had just stopped drinking, and I thought for myself, what a better way to support my non-drinking but to go and live in the spiritual community.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I have to trust myself. And so I found my own apartment. I fell in love with the area. It was a beautiful freshwater lake. And I said, I think I'm going to stay. And so I decided if I was going to stay in the mountains with this lake, I was going to allow this time to be my healing time. And I said, what do I really want? So I took all my classes. I took B school. I took desire math. I immersed myself in my education, in really just Tonya zone. And then my friend turned into my husband overnight, and now we're married and living on the beach, which is my ultimate dream. So
I know, and creating beauty for other people together.
Yes.
Serving love together. What a wonderful relationship.
Yes. It's so fun, us creating cards. He's like, well, what's next? And I'm like, oh, creating the next card. It's so fun. We both really love the process and watching him create. Yeah,
Tonya's husband is an artist, and they're working on some Oracle tarot cards together. And if you get onto Tonya's social media, so she'll tell you where you can reach her at the end, you'll get to see some of the artwork that her husband's doing for these cards, and it's just absolutely stunning work.
Wait till you see Vast. We've got Vast next. And,
I love her. I work with her.
And then we're putting in the Orishas, the Yoruba religion energy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're going to be working on next. We've done some Egyptians, some Mayans, some Aztecs. So we're really blending people of color from all over the world in different centuries and time periods. So it's a beautiful blend of so many different things. So we're excited about it.
Speaking of people of color, so there is a lot of conversation happening online at the moment in the rising of the feminine that white women have been charging the way with this without being inclusive of women who aren't white, or women who aren't straight, or women who haven't been born female and have transitioned. And so there's a lot of hostility online, but there's also a lot of love, and there is a lot of anger from everybody online, but there's also a lot of love. So Tonya and I have had private conversations about this on numerous times, like what part can we play in helping to heal this, can we do. And a lot of the conversations that we have, I have responded from fragile white ego. I couldn't see it at the time, but I absolutely had. And it wasn't until I had read from, and I can't remember who it was from, now I feel so ignorant again. Like, we white women, we really are ignorant. I read, someone had said it's a likening to a man piping up in the midst of the #MeToo movement, saying, but I've been abused as well, men are abused as well. And whilst we recognise that men can be abused and that men have been sexually assaulted and men have been sexually harassed, it's really not the time and place for a man to pipe up, but what about me? Because majority of the perpetrators are men, and the majority of people on the receiving end are women. And so when we're talking about racism, so many of us white women, but we have black friend, or like me, but I have women of color in my family, but my best friend is a woman of color, but we're still not listening. We're still trying to defend ourselves and protect ourselves from this fragile ego state, which is all inherent in all of us because it comes from our white DNA. So now I've learned to just shut up and listen. And I really can't talk on this because I don't have the experience. And you do have the experience. And in conversations that we have had, I was like flabbergasted that such blatant racism goes on, especially in the States and where you've been, because I don't see it in my life. So I've been ignorant to the fact that it exists as much as it does today. And then I couldn't understand why there was this uprising of beautiful women of color and trans women and disabled women and women with mental health issues and women from all over, like obese women. So we'll talk about the weight thing because most of us have body image issues. I couldn't understand this big uprising because I didn't know that it was still such an issue. So now it's guiding your work. Can you tell us what's coming up? What are you working on to help add love and heal this situation that's happening with women so we can all rise together? We need to heal these things within ourselves as a collective of the feminine. And here, what are you doing? What's coming? I know something big's coming and I'm so excited.
Well, it's still cooking because I'm not sure exactly how to support it. I know I want to be a bigger voice, but I also want to give voice to other women and address the issues within all the isms within society and our sisterhood. Yeah. So it's definitely going to be some type of virtual sisterhood where all sisters from all walks of life can come together and really have a sacred space to share and connect and really understand, just like you and I are doing right now. This is about sisterhood, because when we do come together, we make things happen, and that we must come together to make these things happen. And so, you know, it's a shifting of energy. You know, I catch myself, you know, I had seen something written, you know, by a white woman, and she was like, I love my curves. And I was like, that is so, you know, beautiful. I just have to recognize that, yes, she is a curvy woman. And her idea of curves doesn't mean that my idea of curves is the same. And I said, you know what? I have to make sure in my mind that I am observing all sisters in every area, and all, I mean, we have to be diligent because we are taught to hate each other. We are taught to compete against each other. And so it's really about, then if I can talk about her, then that's opening up negative energy. And so it's really about shifting our perception from, because she's different, that she's not. You know, I mean, we really have to come together as a sisterhood. It's more than just because we have vaginas, but because we do have the same, you know, we have all had the same experience. And it is because we all have vaginas at the same time that we should be coming together, because we do have a bond. We have a cycle of the moon. We do have a sacred cord that runs through all of us and all of our ancestors regardless. And we must bring that energy to the collective to heal the world.
We do. It's just such important work, and it's so important for us to have candid conversations with each other that come from a place of love. No.
Yeah.
And I find people are starting to become afraid to get involved in these really heavy conversations, because it does get very uncomfortable and it is super triggering and it's very confronting. And I think white women in particular are really struggling with how triggering and confronting it is for them to have a look at their privilege. And whilst most of us recognise that we are privileged, there's still that defence from us, yeah, but we're women, we have been abused by the patriarchy, we have been downtrodden, we have been trying to raise the equality for women. And I wasn't aware of the history behind women getting the vote in the States, and I wasn't aware that white women had separated themselves from women of colour to have that happen. And I've learned a lot, and I was super ignorant, and I really implore everybody to go out and start searching and have conversations, deep, loving, candid conversations with other women from different walks of life than you, just so you can understand what each other has gone through. That brings more empathy and more love into the conversations with each other, and then that's how we rise together, when we support each other in that diversity. And I know some people are now saying they don't like the word diversity, but how else do you explain What other word is there
Variety?
really? Variety.
Variety?
Yeah.
Spice? I don't know.
We are so diverse, and we do need to have, and I've actually really enjoyed these conversations and listening because as you know, I'm still working in mental health, and a lot of my patients have mental illness, and I've really been sitting down and having candid conversations with patients about how their life's been affected since they've developed mental illness, which is just a physiological illness of the brain. It just happens to affect our mood and perception, and there's still so much shame around that, and there's still so much shame around obesity. This is one thing that I find so interesting. It still seems to be so acceptable for women to or anybody to comment on women's weight, to comment on their body proportions, or what it is that they choose to eat or drink, whether or not they're exercising. This hate speech that happens online about anybody who looks like she's not a size 10 or 12 and anything, you know, like 16 and over, she's lazy, she doesn't look after herself, she's a sloth, she's a this, she's a that. And it's still the hate speech that goes around body image stuff seems to still be so acceptable. So we all have body, that's one thing I think that joins all women together. We've all had body image issues because we have been produced that way from how we've grown up. So much propaganda for basically our entire life. The media, TV's been around for a long time now, bombarding us with the perfect woman,
We've
the perfect
been
image.
objectified. Yeah, we've been objectified.
So how did you, because you weren't always the size that you are, I haven't always been the size that I am. I have been hugely obese previously. My weight's been up and down. Like, I've really struggled with weight issues, and I know that you have before. What did you do? What changes did you make in your life that allowed you to release the weight?
Emotions. A lot of it is healing the issues that are in our tissues. You know,
The issues in our tissues, I love that.
Tissues. Yeah, I didn't really start even working out until I was 40 because I wasn't, you know, I thought I was, you know, size 12. I was the same size for the longest time. And then I said, no, there's things in my body that don't belong here. And soon as I started doing that deeper healing work, the weight started coming off. And then once the weight started coming off, I started saying, you know what, I want to see myself at my optimum. If I'm doing all this inner work, let me be in that optimum space in my outer form. So I started going to the gym because, again, it was about connecting to my body. And I hadn't realized how disconnected I had been. So connecting to my body through exercise and through, you know, getting fit and supporting myself and health wealth, you know, I said, this is really meaningful to me. I really want to see, and I realized that it was so much emotional weight. Things connected to my mother, my father, my past, you know, ex-husband, my, you know, my own mothering issues, money issues, all those things trapped all in the chakras and all the energy centers that keep us from living our full potential. And again, it was these 2 years, really the first year that I really just focused in on myself that allowed me to see my true self, that I started going to the gym by myself. And now it's something my husband and I enjoy doing together. It is just, it's a part of our life now, you know, and health really is wealth because, you know, I can't go backwards, and my husband is younger than me. So now, you know, staying in shape is not about just staying in shape, but it's also about, again, feeding my fire, feeding my spirit, feeding all of it. And that's one of the reasons too that we moved to the beach, because I wanted to, because I said it's time for me to be next to the beach. So here we are.
Yeah, I could not live near the beach or salt water. I feel sick if I'm not near water. So I'm very blessed also to live near some of the best beaches in the world and a huge saltwater lake, and it's just surrounded by water, and it's beautiful. I think another thing that women don't understand, well, it's not even just women, everybody really, people don't understand how important our spiritual health is. And if you're going to be a holistically healthy person, then you have to exercise your spiritual health. And that's something that both of us do with our clients. It's not just about going to the gym. It's not just about eating well. It's not just about making sure that you take some time out or you try and create some kind of balance in your life to be mentally and emotionally healthy. But our spiritual health is so important as spiritual beings having a human existence. So what kind of advice or tips do you have for people watching on how to get started exercising their spiritual health?
Well, the first spiritual health thing that you can do is pray, because prayer is where you align yourself, where you surrender your humanness to a deeper experience, where you close your eyes and really pause. And so prayer is one of the things. Usually people have been told, oh, you pray for things that you want or pray for things that you don't want. This is not that. This is not, I'm guilty prayer. This is, let me heal. This is, I'm ready to surrender. This is that deep spiritual work. And so that's what this is truly. That's what spiritual health is. And that's what prayer really does. Number 2 is work with someone. Don't try to figure it out on your own. Stop trying to, it's not about taking classes and lighting candles. Get supported so you can get healed, because you will never identify your issues. Most of them don't even know, what their issues are. And so having a coach or a mentor is really how you can reveal, then deal, then heal. But the mind that created the problem is not the mind that can solve it.
Exactly.
So people have to get over themselves thinking that if I take this class, I can heal myself. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. It takes depth and a person who can really guide you to your healing.
It is a lot of work. I don't think people really understand.
No, they don't.
How much work it is. It's like my husband's a bodybuilder. People always comment on how big he is and how fit he is for his age. And he's like, it's not just from wanting to do it. It takes 2 to 3 hours, 5 to 6 days a week in the gym since he was 17 and he's now 53. If you want to be a spiritually healthy person and you want to have greater connection to your higher self and beyond, you want your intuition to have clarity, it takes work. And I find what happens with the spiritual arena, and I know you've seen it too, is so many people come in that really haven't put a lot of work into themselves. They're doing yoga, or they've got some crystals and they've read up on chakras, and now they think that they're spiritually healthy and they've got all their spiritual shit together and that they can coach other people. I was like, no, this is years and years of digging deep into your darkness and your shadows and feeling like you're at death's door sometimes, or the whole Elizabeth Gilbert, down on your knees in the bathroom, I can't do this anymore, I've hit rock bottom. You would need to go through these experiences in order for you to understand how bright and powerful your light is. You need to dig into the deepest darkness of who you are as a person. And I know you encourage your clients to do that. And I definitely do. And that's why we do need coaches and mentors, because that's a hard process. This is not easy work.
Absolutely. Not at all. I studied for 3 years to be a spiritual coach, and at the same time, or a spiritual counselor. And at the same time, I was going through my own therapy. So I had a weekly appointment and a class at the same time, because I knew I had to heal deeper so I could be a better spiritual counselor. It wasn't just going to be about the class. I had to do it too. So for 3 years, I did both. And that is, I put the time in. I have done this now for over a decade. And
it's so worth it, isn't it? Isn't it worth it?
Absolutely. I wouldn't change anything in my life. Not at all.
No, not even the darkest periods.
Moments. Not even the darkest moments.
No.
Yeah.
Never.
Because
I would never.
I couldn't have gotten here had I not had that experience. I mean, there was definitely some moments when I was living in Europe that I was terrified. How am I going to get out of here? How am I going to get home? And I knew then, when I decided that I was going to do something, that it happened. And when I have decided, when I fell in love here with Mexico, I knew that I was home. I was truly home. And
You're home
I
within
have been,
yourself too.
yes, and I have not felt such content and peace and joy and happiness in my life. So every day I wake up, and what a blessing it is. What a true blessing it is. So
And
yes, it
that's what I
is.
tell my clients all the time, is that ultimately all of us as humans, we want contentment and fulfillment and to feel safe and loved. And that just brings about happiness. Everyone talks about it's the pursuit of happiness, but happiness can be fleeting. It's the contentment and the fulfillment and knowing that you're safe. And despite what's going on around you, I mean, you could have $1 in the bank and be worried, but if you are centered and know that you're safe as a person and you're always going to be okay and you have that faith, you can get through anything. Anything.
Absolutely. 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 And so one of my other daily practices is, have a spiritual connection. I read A Course in Miracles every single day. I do my lessons, and I've been doing those now for over 4 years. Again, it gives me a sense of groundedness. It gives me a connection and a source that I can look at and I can study if I need to look at it deeper. So it's not just a piece of paper. I'll keep it open for the day. I read it to my clients. I share it in my live streams. I really allow it to be a part of my living day.
Yeah. It's definitely like if nobody's heard of A Course in Miracles, was it in the 60s or 70s? I think it was
in the 70s.
It was downloaded
into a woman's mind.
Yes. And
So
it's almost like the spiritual Bible. That's what it looks like, a Bible even. It's just, to me, is a spiritual Bible. And there's so many teachings. It's heavy reading at first, but once you start to awaken and you understand the concepts much better, it's much easier to read. It's one of those books I think you need to keep reading it and keep reading it and keep reading it, because the more the second time you read it's a different experience. The third time you read it, it's an even more different experience, because you're embodying what's in there. It's not just surface level ego understanding anymore. You actually are embracing and embodying the concepts that are in there. Yes. So another thing that I want to touch on before we finish up is, so Tonya has multiple Instagram accounts that she'll get to tell you at the end, and Facebook. She's working on the A to Z of how to get so glowy and shiny and healthy. I mean, look at her. She's just gorgeous. And she glows like this all the time. This isn't just like she's like put on some highlight. I'm gonna be on Zoom. I'm gonna put on some highlight, and she actually looks like that all the time. So what's the A to Z that you're working on? Because I know women will just want to jump on this because everyone will be looking so shiny and glowy. And
it's a Bruja beauty, and it's just some of my beauty tricks and different secrets that I use. Different herbs and natural things. And it really is just about, again, letting me support other women. So it's a gift that I'm sharing throughout the month of March for Women's History Month. And it's really just been my gift for women. So it's been from absorbic acid, which is vitamin C, adding a little bit into my rose water, which is our rose water, and spraying that on my face at night, taking moringa, which is a supplement herb actually here that's grown here in Mexico. And today was N for nuts. And so, eat nuts for your brain. And so it's really about us remembering we do have natural beauty. And there is, so much out there that we don't need at the cosmetic counter. It does not have to be expensive to be beautiful. It does not, cost anything to glow from the inside out. It just takes spiritual health and spiritual wealth. And that's really what Bruja Beauty is really about.
I love it. Can you explain for everybody what Bruja is?
A Bruja is a Spanish word for witch. And the reason I like to use Bruja is because my ancestry is Afro-Caribbean and Latina and all of that. And so it's a blend of that, because witch is a word that is derived from the Anglo-Saxon word Wicca. And so because of that differentiation, I like the word Bruja a little bit better. It's got more flavor for me. And yeah, that's what a Bruja is. And so it's Bruja Beauty is a blend of that. It's natural, it's wild, it's sacred.
Yes, that's definitely a word. That's another word which that's been taken away from the feminine and bastardized by the patriarchy,
Yes.
and it's been seen as a bad thing. Even crone. So I was talking about archetypes the other day, and I was in one of the groups on Facebook, and I mentioned that a woman was in her crone energy, and this is the space that she was coming from. And all of a sudden, these women are jumping down my throat saying that I was ageist and that I was discriminating and how horrible, and wait until you're nearing 50 and you don't look like that anymore and you're invisible to men. I'm like, whoa, like, all I mentioned is this woman is in her archetype of being a crone, which we all hope to aim to get into the beautiful crone stage. But even that's been taken away. You know, crones are depicted as shriveled old angry ladies. It's not like that at all.
There's a stage in between that women have forgotten about, because it's
been
just three. It's the queen. It's the queen. So it's the maiden, the mother, the queen, the crone. Because the crone now, 40 is the new 20. So
yeah, that's true.
And so women are, ageless beauty is really taking over. Women are living longer, taking better care of themselves, and really redefining what age is. So beauty is really ageless, and so the crone stage is saved, and it's sacred for our older sisters. The queen stage is that time in the 40s, 50s, and 60s where you're really honing your energy and honing your power. And then the crone then is the 70s and 80s, our wise teachers who are, moving into their elevation, and then we will move into that stage when we're ready to be in our crone stage. So the queen stage is the stage that women are really blossoming into now.
They're definitely words I want to take back, and I want to encourage women to take these words back for what they really mean, and not these horrible bastardized versions that have happened now. Even queen, drama queen, or she thinks she's a queen, or that's just turned into something that's become derogative. This is why women need to rise together and heal the division that happens within us, so the patriarchy can stop dividing us like this. It's like such division over a word crone, and I was shocked. And I think this is what the patriarchy's done. They've bastardized these words, and now women are attacking each other over them. It's just a word.
Over words.
I know, it's just a word. So this is what I'm hoping these conversations happen. I'm hoping that people will watch these and understand that your shadow and your darkness are the perfect opportunities for you to understand how magnificent your light is, and that if you put the spiritual work in and you put the hard yards in, your life is just amazing. And people like mock #blessed, but seriously, #blessed. Your life is just
blessed, yes.
It is. It's true. It's not just another word that's now being thrown around. Oh, #blessed. It's true.
Yeah, it is true. If you allow yourself to be aligned with it, it is absolutely true.
So where can we find beautiful Tonya Gonzalez? Where are you?
So on Instagram, I am Brown Girls Who Tarot, as well as Tarot Life Coach. You can follow me there. Mm-hmm. My website is www.tarotlifecoach.com. And on Facebook, I am Tonya Gonzalez, as well as Brown Girls Who Tarot. I have a group page there. So those are the ways that you can reach me.
Please do. Please follow her Instagram. Tonya shares so much valuable information for free, and so whatever she's sharing for free, you can just imagine the magnitude of what she does for part of her business. So really, you will learn a lot, especially with the A to Z on how to get so gorgeous and glowy. We can't wait to see the other work that's coming up too. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel so honored.
Kiss Sienna.
I will. Sienna's my daughter.
Please kiss her for me.
I will.
Yes, please tell her TT Tonya says hello.
I will. Thank you so much for doing
it. Thank you.